Welcome back to the Garage Discuss YouTube channel feed. We're really thrilled to have you with us today for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
If you are listening to this right now or watching us, there is a very good chance you are standing at a very specific and honestly, a very frustrating crossroads.
Oh, the classic dilemma.
Eh.
Every truck owner knows it.
Right. It's that moment where you're staring at your vehicle and you have to make a choice that just feels like a massive compromise no matter which way you go.
It's the battle between what you want your truck to look like
Yeah.
and what you actually have to live with every day.
Exactly. It's the battle between what your heart wants, which is usually to look cool and go anywhere,
Right.
and what your ears can actually handle.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you want that real grip. You want to look at your truck and see aggressive rubber. You want to know that if you turn down a gravel road or hit a muddy patch or even just deal with a wet Tuesday commute with terrible drainage,
Right. Just everyday stuff.
your truck is going to plant itself and go. You want to feel invincible.
And you should. I mean, that is why you bought a truck or an SUV in the first place, right?
Yeah.
You didn't buy a Prius for a reason. You wanted something capable.
But then, on the other hand, there is the dread.
The hum.
The steady hum. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That drone that just takes over the cabin the second you hit 60 miles per hour.
It starts as a low buzz.
And then it just permeates everything. You turn the radio up, then you turn it up again, and suddenly you realize you're shouting over your own tires just to talk to the person sitting right next to you.
It is physically exhausting.
Yeah.
And people really underestimate how much fatigue comes just from processing that constant auditory input.
Really, like actual physical fatigue.
Oh, absolutely. There have been studies on this. Low-frequency noise, specifically the kind generated by aggressive tire tread, it actually increases your cortisol levels.
Wow.
It stresses you out physically, even if you think you've tuned it out. You get out of the car after a 3-hour drive, and you feel way more tired than you should, simply because your brain has been working overtime to filter out that drone.
That is wild. So you're saying bad tires are, they're literally bad for my health.
In a roundabout way, yes. Audio fatigue is a very real thing.
Well, our mission today is pretty special then. We are going to save your ears and apparently your sanity.
That's the goal.
We are not just listing off tires today. We are going on a quest for the holy grail of automotive engineering. We're looking for the tires that give you that all-terrain capability, the look, the grip, the toughness, without that headache-inducing drone.
The top 6 quietest all-terrain tires on the market.
Exactly. And this is a fascinating topic from an engineering standpoint, right? Because fundamentally, making an all-terrain tire quiet is a massive balancing act.
It is. It's incredibly difficult because it is actually very easy to make a tire with massive grip.
You just make it look like a tractor tire.
Right, you put huge lugs on it. But that will be deafening on the highway. And conversely, it is super easy to make a tire that is whisper quiet.
Just make it smooth.
You make a racing slick. But then you hit a wet leaf and slide off the road.
You slide right into a ditch, but hey, at least you did it quietly.
Precisely. So the challenge, the real engineering magic here, is doing both well at the same time. How do you create a void for mud to escape, but keep the air quiet?
Right.
How do you create a biting edge for snow, but keep the rubber stable at 70 miles per hour? That is what we are digging into today.
I love it. And just to give everyone a roadmap of where we are going, we have a countdown of the top 6 contenders pulled from our source data, and the engineering on these is wild.
It's not just softer rubber anymore.
No, we're talking about heavy physics. We have a tire at the #1 spot that actually claims to be quieter than its leading competitors based on internal noise comparisons.
Which is a very bold claim in this industry.
It really is. But then, right behind it at #2, we have a tire that is legendary. People swear by this thing,
Oh, yeah.
but it has a surprising Achilles heel when it comes to winter weather.
That is a critical detail that most buyers completely miss.
They buy the tire thinking they're invincible. The first snowstorm hits, and they realize they've made a huge mistake.
It comes down to understanding the difference between a marketing label and an actual engineering standard. We will definitely unpack that.
And throughout this list, we're going to uncover the specific tricks manufacturers use. We're talking about things like groove stepping and pitch variation.
The actual physics behind silencing heavy rubber.
Groove stepping. I love technical terms like that. It sounds like a dance move from the 90s.
Yeah, it does.
But before we jump into the list, we need to set the stage. Because you can't just slap a set of quiet tires on a truck and expect miracles if the truck itself is a mess. Right?
That is the absolute truth. Before we even look at the rubber, we have to understand the science of quiet.
Okay, let's break this down.
The tire is part of a system. You can buy the most highly engineered, expensive tire in the world. But if the environment it's operating in is flawed, the tire cannot perform.
So when we hear road noise, what are we actually hearing? Is it just the rubber hitting the asphalt?
It's a combination of two primary sources. One is impact noise, which is literally the tread block smacking the ground.
Okay.
The second is air pumping. As the tire rolls, air gets trapped in the grooves between the tread blocks. When that part of the tire hits the ground, the air is compressed.
And then it has to go somewhere.
Right. As it rolls off, the air expands and shoots out. That rapid compression and expansion creates a hiss or a whine.
It's like 1,000 tiny little air compressors firing off every single second.
Exactly. Now, the vehicle itself plays a massive role in either amplifying or dampening that sound. And the first major variable is air pressure.
And you don't just mean like, is the tire flat?
No, I mean, is the pressure optimized for the load you're carrying?
So if I'm running them too low or too high, I'm actively creating noise.
Potentially, yes. Let's look at underinflation first. If your tires are too low, the center of the tread can actually bow upwards away from the road.
Oh, so it's not even touching.
Right. This forces the shoulders, the outer edges of the tire, to take all the weight.
So you're basically riding on the edges of your feet.
Correct. And this creates a suction cup effect. As those heavy shoulders hit the road and peel off, they create this rhythmic thwack, thwack, thwack sound.
That sounds terrible.
It is. It also generates excessive heat, which temporarily changes the rubber compound's hardness, and that alters the acoustic profile even more.
And what about overinflation? I assume that turns the tire into a drum.
That is the perfect analogy. If you overinflate, the tire becomes extremely taut. The sidewall completely loses its ability to flex and absorb vibration.
So every little bump.
Every tiny pebble, every expansion joint on the highway, it rings through the tire like a bell. The tire becomes a resonator. You lose all the damping effect.
So there's a Goldilocks zone you have to hit.
There is. You need to check the door jam sticker, obviously, but you also have to adjust for your load.
Yeah.
If you're towing a heavy trailer, you need more pressure. If your bed is totally empty, you need less.
Okay, so that's pressure. What about the mechanicals? You mentioned that a bad track can ruin a good tire.
Alignment and wheel bearings are the silent killers of tire budgets.
Oh man, I've dealt with wheel bearings.
Let's talk about wheel bearings first, because they mimic tire noise perfectly. It is the most frustrating way to spend $1,000.
Tell me about it. You hear a growl, you think it's your worn-out tires, you go buy a brand new set, and the growl is still there on the drive home.
Exactly. A failing wheel bearing creates a low-frequency growl that gets louder as you speed up, which sounds exactly like a knobby off-road tire.
So how do you tell the difference before you drop the money?
The trick is to load the suspension. Find a safe, open stretch of road with some gentle curves.
Wow.
If you turn left, the weight of the truck shifts to the right side.
Okay.
If the noise gets significantly louder when you turn left, your right side bearing is likely the culprit. If you turn right and it gets louder, it's the left side.
That is a brilliant tip. And if it's the tires, the noise usually stays pretty constant regardless of the turn.
Usually, yes,
Okay.
unless the tires are extremely unevenly worn, which brings us to alignment. If your toe setting is off, meaning your tires are pointing slightly inward or outward rather than perfectly straight ahead, you are literally dragging the tire sideways down the highway.
That sounds incredibly expensive.
It scrubs the rubber right off. It creates what we call a feathered wear pattern. If you run your hand across the tread of the tire and it feels smooth going one way but sharp and jagged the other way, like shark skin,
Yeah, I felt that.
that is feathering. And feathering is incredibly loud. It literally sings at highway speeds.
So basic maintenance is just non-negotiable if you want a quiet ride.
Non-negotiable.
Oh,
And there is one more maintenance piece that is critical.
let me guess. Tire rotation.
Rotation. The source recommendations we are looking at suggest rotating every 5,000 to 7,500 miles.
See, that seems really frequent. My oil change interval is like 10,000 miles on my new truck. Can I just wait and do it then?
If you wait 10,000 miles, you risk sawtoothing.
Sawtoothing. That sounds aggressive. What is that?
It's exactly what it sounds like. Because of the torque applied to the tires from accelerating and braking, the leading edge of a tread block wears differently than the trailing edge.
Okay.
Over time, the block actually becomes a ramp. One side is high, one side is low, like the teeth of a saw.
Oh, wow.
And when that ramp hits the pavement, it doesn't roll smoothly. It impacts. Slap, slap, slap. Once a tire develops a sawtooth pattern, it turns into a permanent drone.
Permanent. So you can't just rotate it and fix it.
You cannot fix it. You can rotate it later, and sometimes, and I mean rarely, Running it in the reverse direction on the other side of the vehicle can even it out over a few thousand miles.
But usually.
Usually the damage to the tread block is done. You have built a noise machine, and you are stuck with it until you buy new tires.
That is a terrifying thought. You spend all this money on quiet technology, and you completely ruin it just by skipping a tire rotation.
It happens every single day.
Okay, so the big takeaway here before we get to the tires, you can buy the quietest tire on earth, but if you don't rotate it, check your pressure, and keep your truck aligned, you're just wasting your money.
Exactly. Treat the system, not just the rubber.
All right, let's unpack this list. We have 6 tires to get through, and they all bring something really unique to the table. We're starting at number 6, and this one seems like it's really designed for the reality of how people drive, not the fantasy.
Yes.
Let's talk about the BF Goodrich Trail Terrain TA.
The BF Goodrich Trail Terrain TA. This is a fascinating entry to start with because it really defines a specific category of driver. It's a relatively new tire in BFG's lineup, designed to sit just below their legendary KO2.
Right, the KO2 is the one everyone knows. It's that super aggressive, boxy off-road tire you see on every built Tacoma.
Right, and the KO2 is fantastic, but it's heavy, and it can definitely be loud. The Trail Terrain TA is, for the person who wants the BFG brand, they want a little bit of that rugged look, but they spend 95% of their time on pavement.
So who is the real target audience here?
This is for the daily driver first. It's for the person who commutes, runs errands, drops the kids off at school, but maybe on the weekend they hit a gravel road to get to a campsite, or they pull a small teardrop trailer across a grassy field.
So they aren't rock crawling in Moab every single weekend.
No. And because they aren't doing extreme off-roading, BFG could engineer the noise out of it.
How did they do that? What's the actual tech here?
It's all about the shoulders of the tire. If you look at a dedicated mud tire, the shoulders have huge gaps between the rubber blocks.
Right.
Those gaps are great for digging into mud and slinging it out, but on the highway, they trap air pockets that explode as the tire rolls. That's the whine you hear.
Ah, the classic mud terrain hum.
Exactly. The Trail Terrain TA uses closed shoulder elements.
So they just filled in the gaps.
In a way, yes, they brought the rubber blocks much closer together on the edge. By closing the shoulder, you stop that air from escaping laterally in a noisy way.
Makes sense.
You also create a continuous rib of rubber that supports the vehicle much better in corners.
So it actually handles better on the road, too.
Much better. It feels more like a standard car tire. It also stops the slap. Large independent blocks tend to wiggle and slap the pavement. A continuous closed shoulder rolls smoothly.
The source also mentions it has an optimized footprint, which, to be honest, sounds like marketing speak to me. What does that actually mean?
It does sound like marketing, but it has a real engineering purpose. It means they use computer modeling to ensure that when the tire's under load, the pressure is distributed perfectly evenly across the entire face of the tire.
Okay.
And this connects right back to what we just said about maintenance.
Yes.
Even wear is one of the simplest ways to keep a tire quiet over time. If a tire wears perfectly flat, it stays quiet.
Right, no sawtoothing.
Exactly. If it focuses pressure on the edges, it cups and gets loud. This tire is specifically designed to wear flat naturally.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, just because it's a mild tire doesn't mean it's completely useless in bad weather, right? I see it has the mountain symbol on it.
Yes, it carries the 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol, or 3PMSF.
We see that acronym all the time. But I feel like a lot of people don't know what it actually means. Is it just a cool logo they pay for?
No, it is a strict performance standard. To get that symbol on the sidewall, a tire has to pass a very specific acceleration test on medium-packed snow.
Oh, really?
Yes, it has to perform at least 10% better than a standard reference tire. So it's not just a company saying, we think this is pretty good for snow. It is tested and proven to a standard.
That's definitely reassuring. And looking at the specs here, it uses something called full-depth 3D sipes. Now, I know sipes are those little slits in the rubber that open up to grab ice, but what makes them 3D?
This is really cool tech. A
Yeah.
standard sipe is just a straight slice down into the rubber. Think of a knife cut.
Okay.
When the tire's under stress, like when you're braking hard on dry pavement, that slice opens up and the rubber block creates a gap. It makes the entire block kind of squishy.
Like a pencil eraser that's too tall, it just wiggles?
Exactly. And that wiggle creates heat, and it gives you really vague steering feel. But a 3D sipe has an internal texture. Think of it like an egg crate pattern, or interlocking teeth inside the cut of the rubber.
Interesting.
When the tire is stressed, those internal teeth lock together.
Oh, I see. So the block becomes solid again under pressure.
Correct. You get the biting edge for the snow because the cut opens just enough at the surface to grab the ice, but because the internal walls lock together, the tread block doesn't feel loose or squishy on the highway. It stays totally firm.
So you get the winter grip without the highway wiggle.
Exactly. It's the best of both worlds.
Let's look at the actual numbers on this one. What are the owners saying in the surveys?
The numbers are very solid.
Yeah.
We're looking at a 60,000-mile tread wear warranty,
Mm.
which is very respectable for any all-terrain. In the owner surveys, the noise score is an 8.6 out of 10,
Okay.
and the ride quality is an 8.9 out of 10.
Those are really high scores. But we have to be honest about the limitations here. If this is sitting at number 6 on the list, there must be a reason.
The limitation is absolutely the terrain. It is a mild all-terrain. It is happiest on gravel and hard-packed dirt. If you live somewhere with deep, thick clay or sharp, jagged rocks, this just isn't aggressive enough.
It'll just pack up.
Right. The voids aren't deep enough to self-clean mud out of the tread. It will pack up and basically turn into a racing slick.
Right. So it's great for the weekend camper, but maybe not for the person building a dedicated overland rig to cross the Amazon jungle?
Precisely. It's a realist's tire.
Okay, let's move up the list to number 5. This one is pitched in the deep dive sources as the do-it-all option. We're talking about the Cooper Discoverer AT34S.
The Cooper Discoverer AT34S. This is a massively popular tire, and for a very good reason. It sits right in that sweet spot of price and performance.
This really feels like the everyman tire. You see these on absolutely everything, from old Ford Rangers to brand new Tacomas and F-150s.
It really is the one set of tires for everything pick.
Yeah.
The source describes the lifestyle fit perfectly, I think. You commute Monday through Friday, you tow the boat or the utility trailer on Saturday, and you hit the trailhead for a hike on Sunday.
It's the Swiss Army knife approach to rubber.
It is. And balancing all those distinct needs requires some really clever engineering to keep the silence, because usually a tire that is stiff enough to be good at towing is going to be incredibly loud.
So how does Cooper manage to keep it quiet?
The key word for this tire is stability. We touched on this with the BFG, but Cooper approaches it a bit differently.
Tell me more about this stability.
So a lot of tire noise comes from squirm. We mentioned the eraser analogy earlier. Imagine a tall block of rubber hitting the road at 60 miles per hour. If it wiggles or twists as it makes contact, it vibrates.
Right.
That microscopic vibration becomes a buzz in the cabin.
A high-frequency buzz, the kind that gives you a headache.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cooper combats this with zigzag sipes.
We're back to the sipes.
We are, but the shape really matters here. These zigzag sipes do two things simultaneously. First, the zigzag shape creates a lot of biting edges. If you look at a straight line versus a zigzag line of the exact same length, the zigzag has way more surface area.
Oh, right, because it's folding back and forth.
Exactly. More edge to physically grab the snow and ice.
That makes total sense.
But secondly, just like the 3D sipes on the BFG, that zigzag shape locks the blocks together under load. They support each other laterally. It prevents the block from twisting under the torque of acceleration or braking.
Okay.
This stability improves the steering feel, so it feels crisp, not mushy, and it drastically reduces noise because the tread blocks aren't buzzing against the pavement.
That is really smart engineering. Now, I see a note here in the source material about wet weather. It seems like this tire really focuses heavily on rain. And honestly, for most drivers out there, heavy rain is the most dangerous condition they actually face on a regular basis.
It absolutely is. And to handle that, Cooper uses a silica-based tread compound here.
Let's pause on silica for a second because I see that word in tire brochures constantly and I never know what it means. Is it literally just sand?
Basically, yes. It's silicon dioxide. Traditionally, tires use carbon black to bind the rubber and make it durable. That's actually why tires are black.
Right.
But carbon black isn't great at maintaining flexibility at a microscopic level, especially in cold, wet conditions.
Okay, so what does the silica do?
Silica is hydrophilic. It physically likes water. But more importantly, it allows the rubber compound to remain flexible at lower temperatures and to conform to the microscopic imperfections in the road surface even when it's covered in water.
Wow.
It grips the road on a molecular level far better than traditional rubber.
So it's extremely sticky when wet.
Very sticky. And the tread pattern itself has wide channels, specifically designed to evacuate water out from under the contact patch. This makes a massive difference in heavy rain to prevent hydroplaning.
And what about off-road performance? Is it better than the BFG we just talked about?
The source notes it has a bit more honest bite. The grooves are slightly wider. It's very good on forest roads and loose gravel.
Okay.
It can even handle moderate mud with one major caveat.
What's the caveat?
You have to keep your momentum up.
Don't stop in the mud puddle.
Do not stop. Because the voids aren't huge, if you stop, the mud will pack into the grooves. And once the grooves are packed solid, you basically have a racing slick again. You lose all your traction.
Makes sense. Momentum is your best friend. Let's run the numbers for the Cooper AT3 4S.
The warranty is very strong on this one. 65,000 miles. That is a real highlight here. It's higher than the BFG.
Nice.
Ride quality is exceptional at 9.0 out of 10. That is very high for this category. The noise score matches the BFG at 8.6 out of 10. And of course, it is 3 Peak Mountain Snowflake rated for winter.
So you get a better warranty, slightly better ride quality, and the exact same noise level. That is a really strong contender.
A very strong contender, especially if you deal with a lot of rain in your area.
Okay, coming up next, we have a tire that is using some really high-tech wizardry. It's using a technique that sounds almost like something out of music theory to actively trick your ears. We're moving to number 4, the Yokohama Geolander ATT G015.
The Geolander G015. This is what the source calls the rolling drum solution.
The rolling drum. That is such a vivid description of what a bad SUV ride sounds like.
It really is. You know that hollow booming sound inside a big empty car like you're sitting inside a giant subwoofer? That's the rolling drum effect. The goal with the G015 is year-round traction without triggering that effect.
So what is this music theory trick I teased earlier?
It is a concept called multiple pitch variation.
Okay, let's unpack that, because it sounds like a setting on a synthesizer. What does that actually mean for a tire?
To understand this, you really have to understand how the human brain processes sound. Ideally, you want to break up the sound waves. If every single tread block on a tire is the exact same size and spaced the exact same distance apart, they hit the pavement at a perfectly constant frequency. Thump, 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 thump.
And at 60 miles per hour, that thump, thump, thump blends together and becomes a solid hum.
Exactly. It creates a harmonic drone. It's a single continuous tone. And the human brain is evolutionarily very good at latching on to single tones. It's like a mosquito buzzing right in your ear. You just can't ignore it.
So how does pitch variation fix this?
The engineers actually vary the size and the spacing of the tread blocks all the way around the tire. They use advanced computer algorithms to randomize the pattern slightly. Some blocks are a few millimeters longer, some are slightly shorter, some gaps are wider, some are narrower.
So they hit the road at slightly different rhythms.
Yes, instead of a steady rhythmic beat, it creates a chaotic mix of different frequencies.
Oh, I see. It's like jazz instead of techno.
That's a fantastic way to put it. It breaks up the sound waves so the human ear doesn't hear a constant piercing drone. It turns a hum into something much closer to white noise.
White noise, like a fan running in the background of a room.
Exactly like that. The acoustic energy is still there. The tire is physically still making noise, but because the frequencies are scattered all over the spectrum, your brain easily filters it out as background noise. It doesn't annoy you. It's a literal psychoacoustic trick.
That is fascinating. It's basically like noise-canceling headphones, but entirely mechanical.
In a way, yes. It is actively manipulating the acoustic signature of the tire to fool your brain. And again, they combine this trick with heavy sipping to help the blocks hold their shape.
To prevent that uneven wear we keep talking about.
Correct. Because uneven wear causes sudden, sharp jumps in road noise later in the tire's life. Yokohama is really trying to keep this tire quiet from mile 1 all the way to mile 60,000. They want the noise profile to remain incredibly consistent.
So where is the sweet spot for the Geolander? Where does it really belong?
Its sweet spot is back roads and bad weather. It is definitely not a mud pit tire. The voids, the spaces between the blocks, they just aren't wide enough to clear thick mud.
Right.
But on road, especially on wet roads, it is incredibly stable and predictable. It has excellent wet braking.
And what are the numbers looking like?
The warranty goes up to 60,000 miles on certain sizes. It is 3 Peak Mountain Snowflake rated, which obviously helps with slush and packed surfaces. It is a very reassuring choice for someone who racks up a ton of highway miles but wants absolute consistency as the tire ages.
Consistency as it ages. That's a really key phrase.
Right.
Because nobody wants a tire that's whisper quiet for a month and then turns into a howling monster.
Exactly. You want it to sound the same on day 1000 as it did on day 1.
All right, we're transitioning now from the high-tech pitch variation to something that the source material describes as a classic, This is number 3, the Bridgestone Dueler AT Revo 3.
The Revo 3. This is an absolute staple in the market. It's been around in various iterations for a very long time.
The source calls this the classic planted feel. Who is this tire actually for?
This is for the driver who wants a completely confident, solid feel on the pavement. Some all-terrain tires, especially the aggressive ones, can feel a bit floaty or vague on the highway because of the deep tread.
Oh, yeah. The blocks squirm, and the truck kind of wanders a bit in the lane.
Right. You have to constantly micro-correct the steering. The Revo 3 aims to feel totally planted, almost like a dedicated road tire, but still offer real traction when the pavement ends. It wants to eliminate that wander entirely.
And it has a feature called groove stepping. We mentioned this in the intro. How does putting steps inside a groove help with noise?
It's a brilliant piece of basic geometry. Imagine a deep groove in the tire. The walls of that groove are just tall columns of rubber. When you corner or brake, those tall rubber walls naturally flex.
Okay, like a tall building swaying in the wind during a storm.
Precisely. Groove stepping puts little steps or terraces inside the groove itself. Think of the sides of a Mayan pyramid.
Okay, I can picture that.
These steps physically stiffen the base of the tread block.
It's like reinforcing a wall with buttresses.
Exactly. A stiff block doesn't flex nearly as much. And more importantly, for our topic of noise, it doesn't snap back.
Snap back? What do you mean?
Think of holding a plastic ruler flat on a desk, pulling the end down, and letting it go.
It snaps and makes that vibrating noise.
Right. Rubber does something very similar on a microscopic scale as it leaves the pavement. As the tire rolls, the weight deforms the block, and then as it lifts off the ground at the back of the contact patch, it snaps back into its original shape. That violent snap creates a slap sound.
Ah, and less flex means less snap, which means less slap.
You got it perfectly. By stiffening the block with groove steps, you significantly reduce the amplitude of that snap.
That is really cool to visualize. Now, it's not just about being stiff, right? It still needs to have traction off-road.
Right. For that, it uses what Bridgestone calls traction claws.
Traction claws. That sounds incredibly aggressive.
It does. And they pair those with staggered shoulder lugs. These provide the physical bite in loose surfaces and deep snow. It gives the tire a way to almost paddle through loose dirt. And for hydroplaning, it uses very wide grooves and open shoulder slots to aggressively channel that water away from the center.
There is a very practical note on this tire, too, regarding maintenance. It has a symmetric tread pattern.
Yes, it does.
Why does that matter to the average driver?
Because it makes tire rotations incredibly straightforward. With a directional tire, which is one that has to roll a specific way, you can only ever rotate them front to back.
Right.
You cannot cross them to the other side of the vehicle unless you physically dismount the tire from the metal rim and flip it.
Which nobody does because the shop will charge you way too much for that.
Exactly. With a symmetric pattern like the Revo 3, you can do a full cross rotation. You can move the front left tire to the back right position. This is by far the most effective way to combat uneven wear patterns like cupping or sawtoothing.
So easier maintenance means you are way more likely to actually do it, which means
You keep the noise down.
it all comes back to maintenance. So how does the Revo 3 stack up on the scoreboard?
The warranty is 60,000 miles. The noise score is an 8.7 out of 10. And the ride quality is 8.8 out of 10.
So it's actually slightly quieter than the Cooper and the BFG?
Slightly, yes. But the source makes a very important distinction here. It explicitly says, quote, that does not mean it's silent. Coarse asphalt or concrete highways will still bring out some tread sound.
Okay, that's fair.
But compared to an aggressive all-terrain, or definitely a mud terrain, it is vastly easier on the ears. It's a massive improvement.
Good to know. It's quieter, not completely silent.
Correct.
Okay, we are getting into the top 2 now.
Yeah.
And number 2 is a heavy hitter. This is a tire with a massive reputation. If you go to any commercial construction site, you will see these on almost every truck. We're talking about the Michelin LTX AT2.
The Michelin LTX AT2. If you talk to people who tow constantly or drive heavy-duty 3/4-ton trucks, this name comes up all the time. It is an absolute institution in the truck world.
The source calls it the highway and towing specialist.
That is really its core identity. It has a very long history of doing the job incredibly well for heavy highway miles, towing massive loads, and handling rough, rocky back roads without falling apart. It's built to work.
Michelin always seems to have a slightly different approach to engineering than everyone else. They're very precise. What is their secret sauce here for keeping it quiet?
They focus heavily on a concept called contact pressure.
Contact pressure. Is this related to the air pressure we talked about earlier?
It is related, but it's more about how the physical architecture of the tire manages that
Yeah.
pressure. Michelin's ultimate design goal is to ensure that every single square inch of the tire that touches the road is pressing down with the exact same amount of force.
Okay.
They use a very sophisticated, highly engineered internal steel belt structure to achieve this perfectly even footprint
But why is that equality so important for noise?
because of the sawtooth pattern we mentioned in the intro.
Ah, right. The horror movie villain of tire noise.
The absolute villain. If the pressure isn't perfectly even, the tire minutely scuffs the road as it rolls. That scuffing, over thousands of miles, wears the rubber blocks into those jagged ramps.
Right.
Michelin's perfectly even contact pressure physically prevents this pattern from ever forming. It forces the tire to wear down perfectly flat over its entire lifespan.
So the tire stays completely flat and therefore stays completely quiet.
Yes. The internal construction is also specifically designed to reduce high-frequency vibrations from traveling up into the cabin. It's really about isolating the driver from the harsh road surface. It's a very premium feel. It filters out the chatter.
Now, we teased a major cliffhanger about this tire in the intro, the Achilles heel. Because so far, this sounds like the absolute perfect tire. It's smooth, it's quiet, it lasts forever, it's great for towing. What is the catch?
The catch is winter. And this is a critical note from our source material. Unlike the previous tires we just discussed, the Cooper, the BFG, the Yokohama in many of its available sizes, the Michelin LTX AT2 is not severe snow rated.
Wait, it does not have the three-peak mountain snowflake.
In many sizes, no, it does not. It typically carries an M+S rating, which stands for mud and snow, but it does not meet the higher performance standard of the three-peak symbol.
Hold on, I thought M+S meant it was officially good for snow.
That is a very common and sometimes dangerous misconception. The M+S rating is largely just a geometric definition.
What does that mean?
It simply means the tire has a certain mathematical ratio of empty voids to solid rubber lugs. It doesn't actually require the tire to pass a physical performance test on actual ice or snow.
Are you serious?
Yes, it essentially just means it looks like a snow tire on paper.
That is wild. So you can have a tire that literally says mud and snow on the side, but acts like a hard hockey puck on actual ice.
Absolutely. The three-peak symbol is the actual physical performance test. Now, the reason the LTX AT2 struggles here is because it uses a very hard, durable rubber compound.
Because it's meant for towing and longevity.
Exactly. That's why it easily lasts for 60 or 70,000 miles under heavy loads. But hard rubber gets even harder in freezing temperatures. It turns to plastic. It simply doesn't conform to the microtexture of the ice.
That is a huge distinction. If you live in Colorado or Vermont, that could be a total deal breaker.
Absolutely. The implication is crystal clear. If winter traction is a major non-negotiable need for you, you must manually check the sidewall markings on the specific size you are buying. Do not assume it has the winter rating just because it's a premium Michelin all-terrain.
So if I live in Florida and I just tow a heavy center console boat on the weekends, this is perfect.
It is literally the perfect tire for that. It will last forever and be whisper quiet on the highway.
But if I live in Buffalo, New York,
You might really want to look at the Cooper or the Yokohama, or honestly, get dedicated winter tires.
wow, that is a vital tip. So besides towing, where does this tire really excel?
It's phenomenal for gravel driveways, harsh job sites, washboard dirt roads. But it is not for extreme rock crawling or deep, sloppy mud. It is for the driver who wants that smooth, stable, and quiet ride for 90% of their driving, but needs to tow heavy trailers.
Let's hit the numbers on the Michelin.
Warranty is 60,000 miles. The noise score is an 8.6 out of 10. And the overall ride quality is universally described as smooth, stable, and quiet. It really is the benchmark for highway comfort in a truck, provided you don't need severe winter traction.
It's a very solid number 2, as long as you watch out for that snow rating tag.
Exactly. You just have to know what you're buying.
Which brings us to the moment of truth. We have finally arrived at the number 1 spot. The tire that claims to be the champion of quiet. The Continental Terrain Contact AT.
The Continental Terrain Contact AT. This tire really represents the modern evolution of the entire all-terrain segment.
The promise here is blending genuine all-terrain traction with a, quote, low-noise, highway-friendly personality. But what actually makes it number 1? Why does it beat out a giant like the Michelin?
It starts with their fundamental design philosophy. The source puts it perfectly. It is designed for the way most trucks and SUVs are actually used.
Ah, reality versus fantasy.
Exactly. Look, We all fantasize about crossing the Rubicon Trail or driving an overland rig through the Darien Gap.
I do that every time I look at my truck.
Right. But the reality of our lives is lots of pavement, lots of highway commuting, plus the occasional dirt road, a gravel driveway, and maybe parking on wet grass at a kid's soccer field.
Yeah.
Continental leaned incredibly hard into that reality.
And do they actually have the data to back up this #1 spot?
They really do. Continental actually publishes an internal noise comparison claiming it is definitively quieter than a leading competitor, which is almost certainly targeting that Michelin we just talked about.
Wow.
And importantly, massive owner surveys back this up completely. It's not just marketing fluff. It's proven by the people driving on them every day.
So how do they achieve this superior level of silence? What's the tech?
It's a brilliant combination of everything we've talked about today, refined to a razor's edge. They use highly stable, reinforced blocks to completely prevent squirm. They use a very tight, closed shoulder layout to completely stop the air-pumping noise from escaping.
Closed shoulders again, just like the BFG all the way back at #6.
Yes, but refined even further. It helps the tire smoothly roll onto the pavement instead of slapping it. But what really sets it apart and why I think it decisively takes the #1 spot is that it doesn't sacrifice wet performance to get that silence.
The source mentions wet braking specifically, right?
Yes, this tire is an absolute monster in the rain. It specifically leans heavily into wet braking and rapid water evacuation. It is engineered to be totally predictable when hitting standing water at high speed.
And that is a huge confidence factor for highway driving, because honestly, that is the scariest thing in a big truck. Hitting a puddle at 70 miles per hour and feeling the steering wheel suddenly go light in your hands.
Exactly. It's terrifying. The Continental Terrain Contact AT fights that hydroplaning better than almost anything else in the class. It uses what they call traction grooves, which grip the snow and the wet road aggressively, but acoustically release the noise.
So it's the quietest, it's incredibly safe in the heavy rain, and it still handles gravel and dirt without a problem. What do the numbers look like? Is it statistically the best of the bunch?
It is. The noise score is a staggering 8.8 out of 10.
That is the highest noise score in the entire group.
It is. The ride quality is an 8.9 out of 10. And it still manages to carry a 60,000-mile warranty.
So what's the final conclusion on the #1 pick?
It feels incredibly close to a premium road tire on the highway. You can put this on a high-end luxury SUV and not feel like you've ruined the plush ride, but it still handles gravel roads, rutted trails, and snow with total confidence.
Right.
It is definitively the strongest choice for the calmest ride. If silence is your absolute top priority, but you still need an all-terrain, this is the tire. There you have it, folks. The Continental Terrain Contact AT taking the absolute crown.
A very well-deserved win. It perfectly balances the modern driver's actual daily needs.
So let's take a step back and look at the big picture here. We've looked at 6 incredible pieces of engineering. What does this all mean? If we connect the dots across all these brands, is there a universal pattern here?
There is absolutely a pattern. If you look at the winners, especially the top half of this list, they all ruthlessly prioritize 2 main things: block stability and even wear.
Stability and wear.
They are all fighting the exact same enemies: squirm and sawtoothing. Whether it's using 3D sipes or groove stepping or closed shoulders, every single one of these top-tier tires is engineered to stop the tread block from wiggling under load and to stop it from wearing unevenly over time.
Because at the end of the day, a stable block is a quiet block.
And an evenly worn tire is a quiet tire. It's simple physics, but incredibly difficult engineering. And that brings us right back full circle to you, the listener. Because we can talk about brilliant engineering and 3D sipes all day long, but the quiet isn't just manufactured in the rubber. You can't just buy the solution and ignore it. You have to maintain it.
No, you cannot ignore it. We have to re-emphasize that maintenance checklist one more time. If you want these expensive tires to stay quiet past 10,000 miles, you have to do the actual work.
Let's hit that checklist one more time for everyone driving.
Number 1, keep your tire pressure set for the specific load you are carrying. Don't guess. Check the door jamb, check your owner's manual. If you tow a heavy load, air them up. If you're driving empty, air them back down to the spec.
Number 2.
Fix uneven wear early. The moment you see the tires starting to chop or feather, or if you hear that rhythmic thrumming starting to develop, check your alignment and your suspension immediately.
Don't wait until the next oil change.
Do not wait. If you wait, the noise becomes permanent. You cannot unwear a damaged tire.
And number 3.
Rotate them regularly, every 5,000 to 7,500 miles. It is the cheapest, most effective insurance policy for your ears. It spreads the wear out perfectly evenly across all 4 tires.
Okay, let's do a quick summary of our top picks for the people who are taking notes or ready to buy.
Here is your rapid-fire cheat sheet. If you want a daily driver that handles light trails and looks the part, go with the BFG Trail Terrain.
Got it.
If you need a do-it-all tire for towing, heavy rain, and weekend trails, the Cooper AT3 4S.
Okay.
If you want the high-tech solution for year-round acoustic consistency, the Yokohama G015.
The rolling drum killer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want that classic planted feel and super easy symmetric maintenance, the Bridgestone Revo 3.
Perfect.
If you are a dedicated highway hauler in warm climates, and remember, watch the snow rating on this one, the Michelin LTX AT2.
And the winner.
And if you want the absolute quiet king, the calmest ride possible without sacrificing safety, the Continental Terrain Contact AT.
What an incredible lineup. You know, looking at this list and really digging into the sources, it makes you think about how far tire technology has actually come. 10 years ago, an all-terrain tire just howled. That was just a fact of life.
It really was. And I want to leave the listener with a final provocative thought on exactly that. We used to just accept that off-road capability meant suffering on the highway.
Yeah.
It was just the tax you paid for having a cool truck. People would say, oh, it's loud. Well, it's a truck. Deal with it.
Right. You just turn up the music, rolled the windows down, and shouted.
Exactly. But these 6 tires prove that modern engineering has completely bridged that gap. But it raises a really fascinating question for the near future. As electric trucks become more common and EVs are completely silent, so you hear literally everything, are we approaching a point where the aggressive mud terrain look that everyone loves will eventually merge completely with all-season silence? Or will physics always demand a trade-off for the extreme off-road stuff? Can we ever truly cheat physics to get a silent mud tire?
That is a brilliant question. Because I feel like with EV trucks like the Rivian or the Lightning, the demand for utterly silent, aggressive-looking tires is going to just skyrocket.
It would be the absolute #1 priority for manufacturers. You do not want to hear a massive tire roar in a totally silent cabin.
Well, we definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment on the Garage Discuss channel feed. What do you currently drive? And honestly, more importantly, where do you actually spend your time driving?
Be honest with yourself.
Are you 90% highway commuting, or are you actually grinding up rocky gravel roads every single weekend? Because as we learned today, that context completely changes the best pick for you.
Context is everything in this market. Don't buy the tire for the life you wish you had. Buy the tire for the life you actually have.
Words to live by right there. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this deep dive. We really hope your next drive is a little bit quieter. See you in the next deep dive.
Safe travels, everyone.